I can testify I've never ever been a spy. I've never worked with the enemy. All I've ever done in my life.
In about 1974, we went into detention, and you with us in detention. When it was difficult, you wrote to the special branch that we put communist ideas in your head. The special branch rewarded you as they always reward their victims, and they sent you home. And we headed to Robben Island. That was the time the choices were made. I made my choice to go down with our people. You made your choice to go with them.
We were detained in the same trial event in 1974. Now, my arrest was quite dramatic. And at the time, my father was a policeman. He was a police sergeant. Then later they started interrogating me, which was quite vicious. I will not go into that. My neighbor in the adjacent cell was another detainee, whose name I am not going to disclose because something horrible happened to him. My neighbor then went and gave evidence. He gave evidence against Terale Kota and all of them. And as I persisted in my refusal to give evidence, they let me go, but they brought me back. And then I was released. Now, you know, when you deal with police, security police, there are three things that they want from you. It's either you cooperate with them, you give evidence against your comrades, or you become an askari and go and kill your comrades, or you become a paid.
I reminded him that, you know, when we were invited by Steve Biko to go and fight for freedom, to make sure that our people have a better future, you were at university with me. We went together to join this thing. But when we got arrested and the police had us in Pretoria prison, you wrote a statement to the police to say that I put communist ideas in your head. You really sold me down the thing. And I went to jail alone, and you went back.
The allegations that you made against President Cyril Ramaphosa, that he stringently denies, it's fair to also say, did that relate to that case, or because you suggested that under interrogation he quote sold you out? Can you help us situate where that happened in history?
Now, I don't like discussing this. I spoke about it in Parliament.
Yes, of course,
and I was under oath there. I could talk. I could say whatever was correct.
Yeah, and you know,
we were detained, and he was also detained with us. He was detained with us.
I see, right? Because you coincided at the University of the North, or at a similar time he was there.
Yeah, when he went to Terfloop, he found us there already.
Right.
And he was coming. He was a first-year student at the beginning of 72.
I see.
We recruited him to the South African Student Organization. Specifically, myself and the late Aubrey Mokoena. I don't know if you know Aubrey Mokoena. You might know about him. We recruited him to the South African Students Organization.
Wow.
And it arises from this, that when we were now in detention, because his father was a police sergeant in Johannesburg here. So when we were arrested, because he joined SASO as a result of our recruiting him. So when we were at the University of the North, and when we got arrested, and he got detained because I think some people must have mentioned that he was also a member of the South African Students Organization.
I see.
And he was involved in the SASO branch there.
Okay.
Now, when we were in detention, but because we really got assaulted by the police.
Sure.
So you had people made statements and all of that. When we were ultimately charged, he was not charged. When the trial ran, and when it was finished, well, I must be a little bit more systematic. First of all, I said we were 13 when we were first charged. Now, and then, as I said, 4 of the accused persons were released at the end of the state case.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure whether he was released after when the state case closed or what, but when that happened and it was now decided the 9 of us are the people that really our advocates encouraged us to ask for the statements of all the people that we were detained with.
Right. So the other 4 as well.
No, the other 4 had already been defending themselves.
I see.
Because the state case is when the state says it's evidence against the accused.
Sure.
But at the end of that, there was no sufficient evidence for these 4. That's why they were released.
Right.
Now...
Sorry, so just to clarify, was President Ramaphosa one of the remaining 9?
No, he was not detained. He was not charged with us. He was simply one of the detainees. He remained with the detainees.
I see.
And when the state case ended, all the detainees then were released.
I see.
The advocates then said to us, well, you are now entitled to ask for the statements of all the guys with whom you were detained.
Okay, yeah.
Because it may well be that they may have said things in their statements
that implicated you.
Which will help you. No.
Oh, right.
Which will help you to defend your case.
Sure.
And so that's how it went. I remember very well that the Attorney General of the Transvaal at the time was a certain Mr. John Rees. We then asked for the statements of all these people that had been detained with us, amongst which, naturally, we also got Mr. Ramaphosa's statement, what he had made to the police. Now, so we had to read through them and so on. It is in that statement that I read that he told the police that he was a very good boy, Christian boy, and that I had put communist ideas in his head. And because the advocates kept asking me before this, but why are you accused number 3? There must be something you have done which led to this thing. But I couldn't explain really how I can. So now, when we saw his statement, because we're reading these statements, all of us, so I saw, he says that now I put communist ideas in his head. That's what he wrote to the special branch. Now, so it explained, therefore, why I became, well, not only charged, but I became accused number 3 in the trial.
Right.
I was looking, into this video where Terrell Kota, the footage, where Terrell Kota was accusing Cyril Ramaphosa of being a spy, And I must say this, I believe Terrell Kota when he said Cyril Ramaphosa was a spy and he betrayed them, because apartheid government, they will not let you go, Baba, mahala, hali, for free. They tortured you. It's either you cooperated, self-incriminated, you gave them names or confirmed names of your own comrades, you turned spy or askari, but you had to give them something before they could leave you. So Cyril Ramaphosa nje yena uthi they let him go free mahala. Complete into njalo. That's why a yellow dog union was created for him. You know, he became exempted. Those people who were exempted, they were people back in the days who lived in white areas long before Group Areas Act was abolished. People who were exempted from apartheid laws, who were sponsored by Abo Penhema, Abo Maponya, Abo Cyril, some soccer bosses who never lived in Soweto, you know, Abo ma 70s. I believe Uteral God, even the great Robert Sobukwe, I admire him. He self-incriminated, if you were to call it that way. He said, yes, I'm here. I wanted total destruction of a colonial rule. That's why Robert Sobukwe is the only political prisoner at the time in Robben Island. You know, Nababanye ama human rights activists. You know, so I believe Ulikota, Cyril Ramaphosa, he will be the first to walk out. Stephen Biko was killed. Many, they fell from buildings, 11th floor. They fell from John Foster, you know, top floors. You know, same as Bulelani Ngcuka. Bulelani Ngcuka, for me, you'll have to give me 100 million and convince me on top of that, which was not a spy. The Haifa Commission, was it the Haifa Commission? You know, George Bizos came defending the National Intelligence Agency at the time. He said they won't release information just to prove whether Bulelani Ngcuka was a spy or not, because they'll compromise so many comrades. Many of them have since died, and their families, you know, they hold them in high esteem. I suspect you're talking about Joe Modise and many more. 90% of ANC comrades, they were spies. And therefore, Abu Sheikh Zuma, you know, Maharaj, they were forced to look elsewhere other than classified documents. That's why they named that spy from Britain. That lady claimed first, what? No, it was my, you know, my secret agency or secret agent name. And I wonder why she came up first in defense of Ngcuka, that journalist. Mabatu Ngcuka was agent so 911 or whatever. You know, she came out first, and I wonder why. But yeah, things which, you know, became key. How did they allow Ngcuka to register at UNISA when others, a similar position like him, who were arrested, they were disallowed? How did they allow Ngcuka to move between Lusaka and South Africa, gave passports, while others like him were not? And they knew, they knew that he was liaising with Oliver Tambo. Like many soccer bosses at that time who were selling drugs, going to Zambia, you know, in exchange for giving information. What are the comrades doing that side? And anyway, the comrades of the ANC, they started to collaborate. 1972, they were given monies. Maybe before that, by Abo Penhema, the Pretoria regime was funding them in exile, while they were saying, you know, we are not collaborating. You know, Bona, they were collaborating. Even Mandela in jail was collaborating. And came an issue which, where did Ngcuka, or where was he kept? Where was he detained? It's not even clear. That's why at the end, the commission said they cannot find information to say that Bulelani Ngcuka was a spy or was not a spy. Maybe it's in court. Absolution from instance. Something like that. They said Bulelani Ngcuka was probably not a spy, which means that there is a probability that he was a spy. The court said he was probably not a spy. They did not say he was not a spy. So people saying, you know, they cleared him. They did not clear him. The court could not find conclusive evidence which he was a spy or not a spy, because the National Intelligence refused to release certain documents. And some documents of many comrades, they were banned on the eve of CODESA. They were banned, you know. That's why these comrades, they collaborated in about Geneva Conventions. That's why, you know, they scrapped, you know, their plan. ANC Pela was pro-nationalization, was more socialist. That's why when they came in, they had to change, because they got them by their balls. They got them by the balls. These guys. So they were spies. So I believe Thera Lekota. Tingahambi.
If you associate yourself too closely with the enemy, don't blame anybody if people conclude that you are part of the enemy.